All right, we continue with conversations in the Lansing School District, and John Laing, who runs the finance department, one of the most important departments in the Lansing School District. You laugh, but if people don't get paid, if money doesn't go out the door, John, you're an important guy. How do you tell people about your role in the Lansing School District?
Well, my official title is the Chief Financial Officer. So yes, it's overall the finances and the budget of the district. Also underneath me is operations, so the facility side, which includes the also transportation, facilities management, so our buildings, cleaning, maintenance, that sort of stuff. All the bond and sinking fund projects and capital projects along with that, and food service. So just a little bit, almost just about everything non-instructional. There's a HR is separate, public safety is a little bit separate too, but so yeah, almost everything else non-instructional.
Well, how's it going this year financially? We had an audit last year; it was pretty clean.
Yep.
Tell us what the audit actually said. The Lansing School District financially is in pretty good shape, but there are always worries, aren't there?
Right. Yeah, we've always had clean audits, at least for the last 10 years or so. No major issues or anything like that. The big thing with our audit this year is that we had to, it had nothing really to do with the audit ourselves, but the state fiscal year goes from October to September. And of course, a lot of our revenue relies on state aid revenue. And our fiscal year runs from July to June. So we had, based on our talks and Michigan school business officials and our auditors' advice, that we did not budget any sort of reduction in state aid for last fiscal year. Unfortunately, I think it was August, the state finally came to a consensus of $175 per pupil reduction. So there were some school districts that already had their audit complete when that happened. So, we had a reduction of, it was basically about $1.7 million that we lost in revenue after our fiscal year actually ended. What we projected in fund balance at the end was a little bit less, but could have been a lot worse based on what they were projecting for revenue projections at the beginning of the year once the pandemic hit, and thought that what was going to happen to revenues.
Well, in this COVID environment, it's kind of changed the entire funding formula, isn't it? It's a moving target. You don't really know where money will come from. We got CARES Act money when the pandemic started, and then there are adjustments with enrollment. What's the latest status?
Well, actually, the state just had a consensus revenue estimating conference on January 15th, just over a week ago. And based on what the projected forecast now is for state revenue, which then of course flows into state aid revenue for schools, is a lot better than what it looked like back in August when they had their last conference. So yeah, there's a lot of, you could say uncertainty because we don't know really what's happening. We're not knowing where the finances are going with the state, but I think some of their federal dollars that they're getting, plus some stuff that consumers are spending on that didn't think that they were going to be spent on, that include like state sales tax, of course, that flows revenue into the state, that a lot more has come in than they were projecting. So right now, we were not expecting, or we did not receive any cuts to our state aid this current year. It was flat because of that. And for next year, it's looking fairly decent right now too. But again, we're only in January, and the state's, again, fiscal year ends in September. So
yeah,
a lot can change between now and then. Yeah.
People have to understand that you have budget amendments constantly as dollars and orders and fund availability gets updated. But we do in Lansing have a fund balance, kind of that rainy day savings account that's been very important. And you talk about other school districts, some other school districts have nothing. They have a little storm.
Yeah. So our fund balance, it's fairly good for us right now. The board several years ago stated they'd like to keep it over $10 million, which for us, based on our overall budget, is about 6 to 7%, depending on what it is. Most Michigan school business officials recommend at least 10 to 15%, but it's all relative to your overall budget and what you're hoping to have in a rainy day fund. But we've been fortunate enough to be able to make some decisions here and there that keep us at that level. But yeah, some of the uncertainty we don't know. And then again, some of the projections. So, but yeah, like you did mention, some of the CARES and COVID funds definitely have helped us out to buy some things for the schools, like the personal protection equipment and some other cleaning and sanitizing sort of stuff that we would not have been able to normally afford. But those dollars have helped out that.
And you're going to need that protection equipment, especially when we have face-to-face learning and kids come back to school. A lot of
Mhm.
money's probably already been spent preparing for that moment when kids come back into the class. At the same time, you're probably upgrading internet devices all the time, so that's an expense as well.
Yep. We did some of our first round of care fundings. We bought, probably over, I think it was about 5,000 total Chromebooks or other devices to help students connect when they're at home for this screen to screen learning in their house. But we also are preparing for the students to come back in person at some point. We are working with a partnership with Sodexo Magic, our facilities management company, to install air purifiers, UV air purifiers in every classroom, or if there's a central air handling unit that can push that out to the classrooms, there is there. So every classroom somehow will be covered with those air purifiers that help disinfect the classroom on a
Well,
daily basis. Yeah.
it's good that we had a lead on that. We didn't have to do a lot of renovation as kids were in
Mhm.
school or anything like that. And we've also, obviously, without having kids coming to school, there's been savings reduction in transportation, but there might
Yeah.
be bigger expenses because of social distancing. When
Mhm.
school starts, we won't be able to put as many kids on a bus, will we?
Well, depending on how, that's part of the discussion we have in Dean and how many we want to have on a bus. There are no actual, the CDC does only recommend the social distancing, so they don't require it. So we could fill the bus as much as we want, whether that's safe or not, that's a different issue. But we are prepared to provide masks to hand out to students if they don't come to the bus stop with one. They'll have hand sanitizer that they have to use before they even get on the bus. But again, with our survey that we sent out to students and families, that um, asking them if they want to remain online or return to in-person learning, and then if they do, if they want to have transportation or not, they're just overall there won't be as many students to transport. So there's going to be a reduction of numbers on the bus, anyways, regardless. So.
And one of the things we had some surplus money in the food budget. The school district was able to buy a food truck, which will be
Yes.
able to go around, which is great. Kids love the food. And we also have a meal program to distribute to people in the community
Mhm.
who are not, who qualify for free lunch program family things. And that distribution is continuing. That's kind of out of your area as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yep, we continue to distribute food to any child between 0 and 18 years of age. That's what the current waivers allow for the USDA, and they get breakfast and lunch every day. They can pick it up every day, or there's some sites that provide multiple days pick up, and then there are some dinner and snack programs too that can be picked up. And then we also have our fresh fruit and veggie grant, so a lot of fresh fruit and veggies that are being handed out along with the meals. So if you want to know how to use an avocado in your meals, then there's videos online that Sodexo has on their Facebook page that has our chef Patrick showing how to use those in a healthy manner and all that. Yeah,
That's great. I would have no idea how to use an avocado.
I have
I
never
just,
used one myself either. I eat them, but I have not actually prepared one myself.
that's right. I know I like them. I just
Yeah.
wouldn't buy it or do anything like that. Hey, you've also had to make the big investments, both through bond funding and
Mhm.
sinking funds in buildings. Why don't you just give us a quick update of where we are?
Sure. Most of the projects are complete for our bond. We're in our final year of our bond. That projects are going on. There's lots of renovations and additions going on at Everett right now. We're just starting some at Sexton. Both of those have had, as you mentioned, using food service funds for cafeteria improvements too. And we're having some projects start at Wexford and North, both those schools, and then finishing up a little bit of electrical stuff at Atwood. So those are the major bond projects going on right now, plus furniture for all those schools that is going to be delivered over the summer. So that'll complete our furniture purchase. That every classroom will have new furniture in it by the end of the bond. Then we have some sinking fund projects that are just wrapping up. We replaced the roofs at Sexton and Beekman, and we're going to replace the boiler at Sexton. It's an ancient machine that's had to have many, many repairs over the years. And what else are we doing? We're doing some of the work is combined with the bond. So it's split between North and Wexford and Sexton and Everett, some of the sinking fund stuff. So, and I know we're going to do a upcoming project is a boiler replacement at Kavanaugh. And I think those are the major things right now. Yeah.
Great. Well, John Laing, the chief financial guru in the Lansing School District, we certainly appreciate you downloading some information. It's important for everybody to keep up and know how the finances are. They've been run very solidly thanks to you and all of the other people in the department. So thanks for joining us in this conversation today.
No problem. Glad to share, Bob. Thank you. Anytime.
Thanks.